What's up YouTube, Dara here from Zephyr, and today I'm going to bring you a test and combo video utilising the Dark World illusion profile I showed you all the other day. So because I've shown you plenty of test stands with Dark Worlds, we're just going to dive headfirst into it with one test stand going first and one going second to show you what the illusions can add to the deck. So after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, our starting hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's a pretty good hand considering we have a lot of resource management and a lot of ways to discard cards. Now, obviously, it auto loses to Draw Unlock Bird, but that is just the format we're in. So we're going to start off by activating Genta. Genta is going to allow you to search you out Gate of the Dark World, wherever it may be. There we go. And now we're going to utilize Gate of the Dark World. So activate this, banish Genta, discard Rainbow, shuffle up, cut up, draw one card, and on a new chain, chain it 1 Rainbow, chain it 2 Genta. Genta will summon itself back. Rainbow will let you search out a level 5 or higher. So because we've already got silver, we're going to go straight for a Greffer. We will then be able to add the Genta back to the hand while bringing back Rainbow. And now it's entirely up to you on how you'd like to make this one go. Now what I mean by that is I could activate Dark Corridor now. I could add Snow, discard Snow, search out a Cerulli, and then activate Genta, Gates, Silver, and make more plays. That would probably be the most ideal way of doing it. In other ways, you can actually save the corridor and you can go directly for a Cerulli. I'm going to go Genta first, and we're going to get ourselves the second Gate of the Dark World. I'm then going to activate Corridor. Corridor is going to get me Snow and discard the Snow. Snow is then going to get me the Cerulli. So now I've got the ability to hand loop my opponent for a couple of cards. So after another decent shuffle and a cut, we'll activate the second gate, and this will allow us to banish the Genta, and we will discard the Cerulli. We will draw one new card. We will then trigger Cerulli's effect, go into our opponent's side of the board, which will make us discard a card, and we're going to discard the silver. Now, obviously, I could discard a Rainbow instead, and that will let me special summon a level 4 to the board, but I don't really need to or want to do that. So we're actually going to summon back the silver first, rip 2 from our opponent's hand straight away. So their hand of 5 is now a hand of 3. Now, what you will kind of want to be pushing for is you kind of want to get a Rainbow or a Greffer to the graveyard. Now, you can play it a little bit safe and you can go just directly into an Akashic, return the Cerulli, and then try and get silver back another way. But we're just going to reveal the Nessie, and we're going to go 1 to 4, 5 to 6 will be a reroll. It's free. Just bring it back onto camera there. There you go. So we hit the Greffer. Now, this is a little bit disappointing because Greffer is mandatory. So we're going to summon down the Nessie, we're going to draw a card, and then Greffer is mandatory to destroy the Cerulli. Big sad on that one. Silver's going to come back to our hand, and then we are going to summon back the Greffer. So now what we need to do is we need to get the Cerulli back from the graveyard to our hand. Now we can do that if we Fiend Lock ourselves, and at the moment we don't want to Fiend Lock ourselves because we've still got 2 non-Fiends that we want to get to the board, and we're still trying to dig for the illusions. So we're going to reveal Mothman, 1 to 4, 5, 6 will be a reroll. 3 again. So 3 hits the Mothman, which isn't the end of the world because Mothman will go. We'll draw a card. Both players will draw a card and discard a card. So we'll draw a card and we will discard Rainbow. We'll then be able to trigger Rainbow's effect, and this is going to allow us to search out another Greffer. So we're going to shuffle up, cut up, and activate Archives. We're then going to reveal Nessie. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. So we hit the Nessie. Nessie's effect will trigger, and this will let us search out another Dark World. Now on this one, you're probably going to want to go for Jackalope, because then if the worst case scenario happens, at least you'll still get a monster to the board and you can go Saruja, reset, let's go. So we're going to shuffle this up, we'll reveal Jackalope, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6, we hit the Jackalope. You've got to run with these, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're very bad. So now, if you did play Coach King, you could play the Coach King, but we don't, so we're just going to summon out Bigfoot. There we go. So, just double check there's nothing in the graveyard. No, so we're going to go for Saruja on this one. So 4 monsters with different names. Bum, 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 bum. These are like, you don't always want, like, very rarely do you want to go Saruja. Like, it's not a play you want to make. So we're going to draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not bad. We're going to put 3 back. So you want to keep the Archives. Honestly, Greffer can go back. Gazelle's our normal summon for the Chimera place. We want to keep that. Zephyros is great if I can get it to the graveyard, but I can't get it to the graveyard just yet. So we'll put that back. And then I'll put silver back because I can actually search silver back with rainbow anyway. So we'll normal summon the Gazelle. Gazelle's effect will trigger. This will allow you to search out your Chimera Fusion. I could technically special summon the Gazelle off the Saruja and save my normal summon, but it doesn't make much of a difference. We can actually loop a bit of resource if I wanted to. Like I could special summon down Rainbow, return it to the hand, and then go from there. But I'm actually going to activate a session. And a session I'm going to discard the Rainbow and banish the Greffa. Because in doing so, we are going to go into our Greffa Fusion. Put it under Saruja just to get a nice little attack boost. And what this is going to allow me to do is I can go Chaining 1 Archives, Chaining 2 will be Rainbow. Rainbow will then let me search, so we're going to search out the silver, shuffle this up. We'll then resolve the archives, discarding silver, drawing 2 cards. Silver's effect will trigger to summon itself back. And now again, it's entirely up to you, but you can loop back some resource. So we'll put silver back to the hand for rainbow, rainbow back to the hand for... Oh, I thought I left the Greffa in the grave. I obviously spun it back. We'll leave it like that. You still have to special summon off the Saruja if you want to, but I'm going to actually activate Catalyzer. So we'll summon Catalyzer down, we'll discard the Snow. Snow's effect will now trigger. This is going to get me into the Greffa. Now obviously I could have saved the Catalyzer if I wanted to because I've got the ability to bring it back from the graveyard. But the reason I wanted to do that to trigger the Snow is I can now activate Chimera Fusion to fuse these two and go into Chimera. Chimera will now threaten to rip one from our opponent's hand. So I believe they've lost 2 off the first Saruja. They're going to lose 1 of that in the end phase as well. We get the effect of Gazelle to let us add. So we're going to add a Kotal because we're going to activate the Kotal to then get us the Mirror Sword. We will then reset the Chimera Fusion or add the Chimera Fusion back to our hand. So we're going to be leaving our opponent with 2 cards in the hand, and that's still not it. You still want to try and get the ability to discard the Ceruli. And we're going to be able to do that by fiend locking ourselves, which isn't the end of the world. So remember, we still have the special summon for Saruja. So I'm going to special summon down the Mirror Sword Knight, because what I want to do here is I want to use 2 effect monsters, so Rainbow and Mirror Sword. And we're going to go into our Muckraker. Muckraker's effect is now going to be able to trigger. We are going to fiend lock ourselves, but that's not the end of the world. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to target the Ceruli. So to do that, we're going to discard the Greffa. We're going to summon back the Ceruli. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to add the Ceruli back to our hand for Rainbow, Rainbow back to our hand for Greffa. We're then going to use the graveyard effect of the Accession to make us discard the Ceruli. This will then trigger Ceruli's effect to go to our opponent's board and summon or discard the Silver. Silver's going to summon and rip 2 for our opponent's hand. So that now leaves them with 1 card left in their hand. We're going to set the Chimera Fusion, set the Accession, hold back the Rainbow, and then pass to our opponent's turn. In the end phase, Chimera will rip that final card from their hand. So then all they've got to do is they draw 1 card. So they now have Ceruli plus 1 card to deal with a monster negate in the form of Sword Knight, a target negate in the form of the Kotal, a monster spell or trap negate in the form of the Greffa, and we've got the ability to go for another Greffa, or we've got the ability to Chimera Fusion into a Guardian Chimera. So we feel like we really don't want our opponent to do anything. If they normal summon a monster, we can go Chimera Fusion and go into use Chimera King, use Greffa, and then use Rainbow, and then we can draw 1, pop 2. And the best thing about this, while this is in the graveyard during your opponent's turn, you can banish it and summon back a Fiend monster. So that's really, really nice. So that's how you complete the full hand rip. That's also how you've got 2 graveyard negates because of the illusion. You've ripped 1 because of the illusion. And you've got the ability that if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it and then summon back a Fiend monster. Which is what makes this deck so good with the synergy, is the fact that it lets you bring back a Beast, Fiend, or Illusion monster. So I can just bring back, and it doesn't need to go in a particular state, so I can bring back my Greffa Fusion if I wanted to. Which is really, really nice. So we're going to shuffle these all up. We're now going to go second, so we're going to show you how they can break a board and pull a board apart. We'll try to take into account some forms of interruption, like the average end board is probably ending with anywhere from 2 to 3 forms of interruption, whether that be a hand trap or whether that just be board negations. Not every deck can play through that. Going second, you'd probably look at putting Lava Golems into the deck or Kaijus if you want to maintain the illusion play. But, you know, we'll run with it and see how it goes. So after a very decent shuffle and another good old cut, our final test hand going second will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, that's a pretty good hand to be fair. So we're going to activate the Genta. Obviously, a Droll, again, will really hurt this deck, which is what its biggest weakness is. But if you're activating Genta, straight away you're saying to your opponent, right, do you want to stop me or not? More times than not, they'll probably say no. And you'll go, okay, cool. Add the gate, activate the gate, and then attempt to use gate's effect. Banishing has cost the Genta. Now, obviously, they can pop the gate of the Dark World. That will hurt a little bit, but you still have plays to make in your opening hand. You could normal summon your Mirror Knight if you wanted to, before you actually, so you'd activate gate or don't activate the gate, but then you can normal summon your Mirror Sword, and then if they try to interact with this, you can tag it out. Chances are they're probably going to try and interact with it when you try and tag it out, or they're going to wait for the Gazelle to hit the board. Gazelle's effect will trigger. This will then give you your Chimera Fusion. And if you really wanted to get into a Greffa to get to the Greffa Fusion, you could do. So obviously, because we're going second, our two ideal kind of targets that you want to be pushing for is going to be your Guardian Chimera, which is really, really nice. And then it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get into your Chimera Illusion Beast just in this one go. So that's something to consider. So now we've done this, we can now activate Gate. We'll use Gate's effect, we'll banish the Genta, and we'll discard the Snow, because Snow's going to gain us some advantage here. So we'll draw one new card. A session, okay. Chaining one Snow, chaining two Genta. Genta will summon itself back. Snow will now search. Snow is going to search us out for a rainbow. So now what we're going to want to do here is you're going to want to activate the second gate of the Dark World. Then we're going to be able to banish Snow from the graveyard. We're going to discard the rainbow. We'll shuffle this up to draw one card. So we're going to draw one card. Kotal, okay. We then use the effect of Rainbow. So Rainbow is going to search us out at level 5 or higher, and this is why we want to go for gold. You can go for Greffa if you want to. Greffa's not a bad one. But the reason I go for gold is I can just pop more cards or threaten more cards. I can then activate Kotal so that I can set myself up a target negate as well. So this will then get me the other Mirror Sword Knight. There we go. That's what my hand currently looks like. Still haven't even used Chimera Fusion yet. We're still in a good position. So then what you want to do here is you can activate the Dark Corridor. Dark Corridor will then allow you to add and then discard. So we're going to add Ceruli. We're going to discard Ceruli. Ceruli's effect is going to go to our opponent's board. In doing so, that will make us discard a card, which will be gold. Gold will summon it and attempt to pop 2 cards. So straight at this one, if they've got any negates left, they're going to have to negate the gold because you're going to attempt to pop 2 cards anyway, or pop out some back row. That's not it because we're still in a very, very strong position. So we're now going to be able to add back a gold or a Genta. Doesn't really matter. You probably want to keep the Genta on there just to have that level 4 for a rainbow. Now you've got the ability to use both of these and go into a Kasich. Kasich can then return the Ceruli to the hand. Now again, the only thing you're really missing is you're missing access to a Greffa, which is something you kind of want to be pushing for, and that's something you could do a little bit differently if you wanted to. There's also a way to try and get the accession to the graveyard, which is absolutely fine if you don't mind fiend locking yourself, so that's something you can look into. Ultimately, I'm going to be able to get a couple of these cards out of my hand, so I'm going to activate the Chimera Fusion. I'm going to use the Gazelle on the board. We will then use Mirror Sword Knight just to set up a negate in the graveyard, and we'll use the Zephyros, so I've got the ability to loop cards back if I need to. And the reason we're going to do that is we're going to go into Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera is then going to allow us to pop 1 and draw 2. Cool, pretty decent. So we've got Zephyros that can bounce us a card back if we want to, and then we've got the ability of Mothman. I'm going to activate Mothman, so we'll go 1 to 5, 6 will be a reroll, 3, so we hit the Ceruli, not bad. This will then summon Mothman, we'll draw a card. Ceruli's effect will then summon itself back to our opponent's side of the board, make us discard a card which will be gold. Gold will then attempt to pop 2 more cards and summon itself back. We can then add gold back to our hand while also adding back Rainbow from the graveyard. I obviously didn't get the... Yeah, I did get the effect of Gazelle, didn't I? Because I added the other Mirror Sword. That's fine. Okay. We can then activate Archives if you want to go for more of a draw. Like the Accession right now is not great for us. It's not going to do anything. So it's actually going to be utilised more by discarding cards and moving it to the graveyard. We're still in a very good position here if we wanted to, because technically if I wanted to use the Ceruli, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And I could use all of these and go into an Underworld Goddess. Now obviously I don't have to use Ceruli, I'd probably use the strongest monster on the board that is causing me a threat, would be the ideal scenario. On this one, you can then use Catalyzer. Catalyzer can then discard the gold. This will then allow us to trigger Gold's effect to summon back and archives. So Gold will summon, archives will discard the accession and draw us 2 new cards. Yay, finally. Now because we've got the accession, we can use that to discard the snow. This will then allow us to trigger Snow's effect to search. Now we've pretty much gone through everything we need to in the Dark World kind of arsenal. The only thing we're missing is like a pop-up of a Greffer. So absolutely fine. Discard card, you can only use each effect once per turn, which is absolutely fine. Because now we can activate the accession. We're going to discard both the Greffers, because why not? Obviously, you might want to keep a Greffer in the hand, just so you don't lose everything, but we're going to be able to loot back gold anyway. So we'll go into a Greffer the Overlord. We'll then be able to pop 2 more cards. We've got totally popped 6 cards. Then just to make sure you've got a monster in the hand, you're going to return a gold to the hand for your Greffer. And we're not even Fiend locked yet. So if you wanted to Fiend lock yourself, you could push that a little bit further. It really is up to you. You shouldn't need to actually. We've popped 7 cards because Chimera's popped 1 as well. This is just overkill at this point. Like, you don't need to be doing any of this. You can use Muckracker's effect. You discard the gold. You're going to bring back... what have we got? Can't bring back Genta. Where's Snow? We're going to bring back Snow, because then what you can do here is gold's going to summon itself. You can return Snow to the hand for a rainbow. You can return gold to the hand for a Greffer. You can return this one to the hand for another Greffer. And then you're just going to, okay, cool. All my Fiends, so everything here, apart from here, buffed by 300. And if I really wanted to, I could use Archives Over Effect, discard the rainbow, buff all of these by 800. So like, that's guaranteed game. And that's where your aggression comes in for the illusion, is you're going through Guardian Chimera. Your defense is you're going through the Mythical Beast. So completing a hand loop or picking off a board. Really kind of cool. And it gives you more draws as well. Like, you can never have enough draws in Dark Worlds, especially when you're utilising dangers to their max potential. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to keep drawing, because sometimes you get sniped. So you got to make sure you can, draw through everything you can do. Anyway, that's pretty much the aggression and the defense of the Illusion engine. I think it's a really kind of cool engine, and like I said, it was relatively cheap, apart from this guy right here. So if you're like, I just want another way to get into Guardian Chimera, or I just want to play Guardian Chimera, that's the cheapest way of doing it, because you don't need this guy. But it's just so good, so good. So I do advise you picking it up while you get the chance, if you can do, before it even like starts to climb even higher in value. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. If you have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.